All right. Welcome to Undergroundopolis, everybody. This show's getting more exciting all the time, I swear, man. Thank you all for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed on YouTube or followed my Facebook page, Undergroundopolis, please do. And man, we got legendary Detroit glam punk rocker, trash brat, Ricky Rat. I'm so excited about this. I used to go to a little, I'm pretty sure it was a little, what used to be a church outside of Evansville, Indiana. That used to host shows. It's called Stevenson Station. And that's where that's my first experience with Ricky Rat. Ricky Rat, this old rundown, used to be a church. I'm pretty sure that's where it was. God, it's been 30 years, 25, 30 years. we'll see if he confirms. He might say that's not where you saw us, but I'm pretty sure that's where it was. We're going to go ahead and bring him on. You there? I know you are. Say hi to everybody.
How's it? Hello.
There we go. All right. Was it the church that I probably saw you at? It's called Steve outside Evansville. I'm pretty sure that's where you all played at. It used to be a church.
I remember Stevenson Station. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It used to be a. That was actually in Kentucky, right?
No, it's almost. It was in the most southern. No, Bliss ahead said that La Cappuccinos. Yeah, I definitely remember La Cappuccinos.
I kind of remember. Yeah, I kind of remember La Cappuccinos too. We played Evansville a few different times, a couple different places.
No, so yeah, La Cappuccinos was the. No, once you turned 21, you started going to Fitzgerald's. That's right, Fitzgerald's.
Oh,
that was where all. Do you remember that place?
Yeah, I remember. We would go hang out there after playing the all ages shows when we were in Evansville. We might have played there too. Who knows?
I know. That building actually had secret passageways. I remember the Fitzgerald's building. It was a really neat old building. Anyway, that's boring stuff.
No, Evansville was always fun. We always had a great time playing in Evansville.
All right. So, how did the Trash Brats come together? That's always kind of my first question.
Well, me and Brian had a band that was called Brat. It's kind of like the beginnings of the Trash Brats, and me and Brian go back to junior high together, so we go back a long time. And Brat kind of became Trash Brats. Brat was a 3-piece band, and we wanted to go 4-piece. And basically, when Tony Romeo joined the board, that's when we really became Trash Brats, and that was way back in 1987. Oof.
Well, I've been calling you glam punk. Is that a correct assessment? That's what I've always considered you guys.
I guess it's as good as any. You know how it is with bands. A lot of times bands don't like being called one thing or another, but yeah, I think we used to not like the term as much. I think it's a pretty good description. I mean, we always looked at it like obviously we're a rock and roll band, but I guess glam punk is as good of a term as any because we're definitely not hardcore. We're not heavy metal. So.
Right. Well, who was it you would say that you saw or something, that said, I want to do that. I want to, like, you saw somebody on TV or at a concert or something. He's like, you know what? That's what I'm going to do. Who is that? Who would that inspiration be? If you can narrow it down.
Yeah. For me, when I was a kid, it was Kiss. Once I discovered Kiss, it was all over. Probably wrecked my life, but that's when I knew I wanted to be a full-on rock and roller. Before that, I just liked whatever music I heard on the radio. I was a big AM pop fan in the 70s growing up, and I liked some rock and roll, but Kiss was it. That changed it all, and I became so obsessed with them as a kid. That's what led to me wanting to get a guitar and play. And then obviously there was a lot of other bands later on too. That but Kiss was the first big one for me when I was like 8, 9 years old.
Um, let's see here. I'm, I'm gonna just turn the floor over to you. I know you've got like your favorite what are your, if you could narrow down a favorite trash brat story, I was just it's not about hearing me, it's about hearing my guest.
Well, yeah, but you could ask me whatever you want. Well, actually, today is the 26th anniversary of a kind of infamous show here in Detroit where we opened for Kid Rock, and this is still very popular in Detroit, but not known outside of Detroit as much. And it was also the night he signed his first huge, real huge major label deal, and so we played to a sold out crowd at the State Theater here in Detroit, and most of this crowd completely hated us. So there's a video that makes the rounds where all I usually tell people is you just have to check it out. It makes like Sex Pistols videos and stuff like that look tame. Um, but the crowd couldn't knock us off stage, no matter what they threw at us or spit at us, or we gave it back to them, and we did our whole complete set. They didn't knock us off the stage. So that's one that sticks out in my mind today, because when someone pointed out it was 26 years ago today. So, wow. And that's crazy in itself.
I saw that flyer, that picture, that flyer earlier today. I was wow.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy because, Kid Rock wasn't really into his rock and roll stuff yet either. He was still pretty much a full on rapper. So we dealt with a bunch of, suburban, kids that, mostly male, who were full on, just angry, and especially when they got a load of us, they did not like us at all. But it was fun. I mean, we used to just have fun with it. When a crowd used to hate us, we just went with it. And we used to get that a lot in the early days. And, by the time of the Kid Rock show, we had our own crowd. But obviously, the night of Kid Rock, it's not like a lot of the Trash Brats crowd was there.
Right. That's still pretty good, though, man. That's getting old for Kid Rock. I don't know. I have mixed opinions about Kid Rock. I've always liked him, but not like everybody else liked him.
Right. Well, somehow, I mean, we in those days we used to play with everybody. I mean, we played with everybody from Kid Rock to the Goo Goo Dolls to Motorhead to Johnny Thunders. I mean, we played with everybody. And sometimes the results weren't so good, but they made for good stories.
Do you have a least favorite show?
No, because even the bad ones or the crazy ones are, in the end, we survive. So no matter what kind of fights we may have gotten into or thrown at us, we made it out. So some shows over the years obviously are not as much fun as others, but I feel really grateful that we played as much as we did, and we somehow made it through without, again, like, none of us getting seriously injured.
Well, how did you got to there like a specific story? I want to listen. I know you got one.
Well, I mean, it was weird how, like, just certain areas too, like Evansville, we would have so much fun down there, and we had a good friend down there who first booked us in there, and she telling us that people, kids down there would probably really enjoy it because a lot of bands weren't touring through an area like that. And we used to hit a lot of those areas, Fort Wayne, Indiana, Evansville. And I think it's almost like you might think some people in some of those areas might not get us, or we get a lot of shit. But maybe it was partly because a lot of bands didn't hit these areas when they toured or whatnot. But, people always, it seems like, they always had a really good time, and we find ourselves coming back to these kind of cities, not just, Chicago or New York or whatever. Those are great cities too, but it's just all these nooks and crannies, and we played a lot of weird ones. And so it was always a trip on the road too, because we never had a tour bus or major label support, so we were in these vans that were constantly breaking down. And you can imagine the looks and the comments at the truck stops, all the stuff along the way. And we just never really knew what we were going to get into, because especially with our image, that still really upset a lot of people in those days. So we never knew what was going to happen.
So you played all over, haven't you?
Yeah, we only went overseas once. We did a small little like 5-show tour of Germany. But we mostly just did the States, and like I said, we never had major tour support or anything, so it was tricky. We always
There's always DIY. Yeah.
Absolutely, but that was cool, in the sense that that's how you met other bands that were you got on with, because it's kind of like you'd hook them up with a show in your town, and they'd help you back, and you'd crash at their house, they'd crash at yours. That's the real deal thing right there. There's no management, no labels involved, and bands were going out and doing that way, and I know bands still do it like that. It's got to be tougher now, but that was, there's a certain romantic aspect to that too, even if you're out there breaking down, or you're getting in fights, or you drive away 500 miles to some show and only 30 people show up.
Yeah,
I don't know, I still look at it, I think of more good times and bad times in those days, because we met a lot of people that became lifelong friends and or fans, and we might have never met them, especially in those days before the internet. You couldn't just hook up with people. People had to go see live music to,
yeah.
see it more in person, I guess.
It's tougher now, it seems like, to get people out, especially like people my age.
Well, that's the thing, is trying to keep this kind of music going with the younger generation. A lot of rock and roll, a lot of styles of rock and roll has become almost old people music now. And like you said, a lot of, people don't go out in our age group as much, but it's kind of hard to tap into the younger crowd for a lot of this kind of music. I know there's some rock and rollers out there, but it's a different scene now for sure.
How did you get involved in in the Dead Boys? How did that happen?
Well, I'd known Cheetah for a bunch of years. I'd done a tour with Texas Terry back in 2004. Texas Terry is awesome. If you haven't heard of her, I think you would enjoy her. She's great front woman. Awesome. So she asked me to do a tour of the States playing guitar. And Cheetah Chrome was also on board as a second guitar player for, I think it was like 10 shows. So that was exciting for me, being a huge fan. And that's when I first got to know Cheetah. So I knew him through the years, and Trash Brats opened for some of his solo bands, and then my solo band played with him. And then what happened with Dead Boys was Jason, who had been playing guitar with Cheetah for quite a few years, he got in touch with me. I knew Jason from ways of his old bands used to play together with the Trash Brats, so we were old friends. And he got in touch with me, and the start of what would become the Young, Loud, and Snotty reunion tour was just kind of beginning. And they needed a bass player, actually, and because their bass player that was going to go out with them was unable, to tour. And so he asked me, hey, I know you're a guitar player, but you might want to play some bass with these guys. Johnny Blitz is on board too. For some shows. And I was, well, yeah, hell yeah, this will be great. So did a couple US shows. It was like Indianapolis, Milwaukee, Chicago, then a bunch of Canada. I knew I was told that it was going to be like a full-on they're going to call it the Dead Boys, and asked if I wanted to be permanently a part of it, and yeah, you don't have to ask me twice. So it kind of is one of those things.
Do you have a favorite Dead Boys story?
Oh man. I'll tell you what, Dead Boys are like Trash Brats, and thing is, in this lineup too, you got two of the originals. You got Johnny Blitz and Cheetah Chrome, and during their 60s, I'll tell you what, they're still full of fire. And you got the rest of us who are the young blood, even though none of us were young. So to tell you the truth, it's like a band was like a gig again for real. It wasn't just like studio musicians or, you know, this guy will play for a gig and this guy will play for a gig. We became a thing real quick, and the shows were pretty crazy. We got a really good reception, which, you know, took some doing because obviously going out, you know, they're calling it Dead Boys and you don't have, you know, some of the other members, only Stiv Bators
Right.
in there. So you're going to get a lot of people going, oh man, they're calling it Dead Boys or whatever. But I think we won a lot of people over, you know, and there was a lot of crazy shows with those guys where we're getting fights with getting fights with audience members, you know, and you know, out in LA, I had an altercation and we're fighting with people, and then the guys that started it, they actually called the LAPD on us, saying we attacked them. So yeah, it was definitely not a bunch of mellow old dudes out there, that's for sure. So yeah, there was a lot of crazy fun stories on those tours too.
Oh, if you want to tell some, you got an audience.
Well, like I said,
We do.
that's
We've
one
got.
of them. The LA one was crazy because we played this. It was a really small little bar, and so it was completely packed, sold out, and it's, you know, good vibe in the sense that everyone's right in your face. But you know, we're talking a small stage and no security, and so there's these guys who just, you know, I'm sure they're just trying to have fun, but you know, they were getting too much knocking in the Cheetah's mic stand and trying to grab onto him. And Jake, our singer, warned him, "Don't touch Cheetah. You know, leave Cheetah alone." And, you know, and you know, after the first song, you know, get ready to go on the second song. Jake and one of the guys exchanged words. Next thing you know, we were, you know, jumping in the crowd and rolling around on the floor, which probably should be to my age. I was sore for about a week after that. But you know, that's not like it. That's not like it was every night. But I mean, it was neat to see the younger crowds at some of the shows to go with all of us old timers, you know, who stay out of the pit and stay in the back. But up front, just seeing the energy from the younger crowds, you know, was awesome, you know. And and again, it was a type of tour with, you know, it's not like we had a huge road crew or, you know, all this stuff. It was just a bunch of guys in a rental van going around and you know, playing. You know, we might be out 20 days and play, you know, 19 shows out of 20, which isn't bad again for a bunch of old dudes.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Touring's hard, man. I've only done it a couple of times, and they weren't like real long runs. But man, I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't trade those times for anything, man. Jason Smith asked if you're going to write a book.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because I mean, I feel the same way. Like, I'd rather do it hard still than not do it. And I know it's not for everybody, but I haven't got sick of it yet. I mean, I of course prefer hotels over floors and things like that. But I mean, I'd rather go play than not play. I just feel life is too short, and this, you know, just what I love to do more than anything. And a lot of it's just everything together, like I said, getting to see your friends all over the country, you know, like talking online or whatever is one thing, but to be like, hey man, we're coming through, you know, Vegas, or we're coming through Phoenix, and then you get to see these people, you know, only once a year or whatever. And that's one of the things I really like about it. So
Facebook viewer Jason Smith asked if you're going to write a book.
yes, I'm just trying to figure out where to get started. I just only recently haven't really talked with him yet, but there was a literary agent that I want to discuss and see what he can help me with, even whatever questions I may have or what direction he can point me. Because I'm just not sure where to go with it yet. I've been keeping diaries for the most part since I was like 21, 22. So that goes back to like 1989. So got lots of stories. So, you know, I just have never, it's like almost overwhelming where I don't know where to start. Like, do you tell a life story? Do you just talk about the trash brats? Do you talk about just touring or the craziest stories? So it's a matter of organizing it and getting a good editor on board with me, and someone basically light a fire under my ass to get me to organize this crap. But I do plan on it. I mean, I definitely want to write at least one book, if not, 2, 3, 4, or whatever. But I'll start with trying to do one.
Brian Kirchner says your journal was stolen at a John Prine concert.
That's true. I lost at least a couple months of diaries, whatever year I want to say it is, maybe I'm going to guess 1990 or something. And hello, Brian T. Brian Kirchner. We are old dear friends. And, yeah, we went to see John Prine, who we are huge fans of, which actually Brian turned me and also Brian Oblivion from the Trash Brats on to John Prine. And yeah, I had a backpack I used to carry around with my notebooks and all that. And yep, it was out in the car, and it is Detroit and all. So window got smashed, and they just grabbed stuff, and unfortunately, they got that, which that ended up in a dumpster.
Yeah.
There was nothing of value in that bag. I mean, to me there was, but I mean, yeah, that's one of those things. So whatever notebooks I had at the time, at least it wasn't like a year's worth, but yep, I lost a couple months worth, but oh well.
So is the Rat Pack still a thing? Ricky Rat Pack?
Yeah, we Rat Pack, which is when I went solo, I had different people playing in the band, and I was in Indianapolis for many years, and I moved back to Detroit. Now I've had a steady Rat Pack with two great players who are also awesome friends. Laura Mendoza on bass and Joe Leone on drums, and me and Joe go way back. I mean, we were both playing bars when we were, like 15. From the same side of town, best side of town, the east side. And it's just great, like, to be able to play with, again, like, having good players is one thing, but you want to, again, have that gang and have that whole, like, your friends. And that's what I really love about it right now. And we actually were just in Chicago this past weekend, and we just started working on a new album. We got the first 4 songs going on that. So we're just trying to keep busy while, the COVID plays out, and, get back to live recording or live playing, and hopefully touring and stuff too. But like everyone else, we got to just sit tight. But yeah, so working on new songs and trying to keep it going forward.
That's awesome. I can't wait to hear it. Do you prefer the studio or the stage?
Stage.
And elaborate.
Yeah, well, I've gotten more comfortable with the studio. I think it used to be real intimidating to me, because you're on the clock and you're on the hour, and you go into those places and it's just kind of like, kind of a little sterile. And again, I was never in a situation where there was big label money or something where you could jerk around. So you're using like your band money or your own money, and boy, you could spend a lot of money quick. So I feel like compromised sometimes over the years, some things I played or sang that I know I maybe rushed it because of that, with the money and the time. But now times are different with that too, because you have a lot of great studios, in-home studios and whatnot, people getting good sounds all over the place. For example, the stuff we're doing with the new album is at a friend's place in Chicago, basement studio, and we love working with her. She's great, getting good sounds, and it's of course some people are gonna say, oh, you got to go to the big fancy rooms, you got to do this, got to do that. Well, bottom line is, if you're happy with the way your stuff sounds, there's a lot of options now. And so now I feel more comfortable in the studio, because you can be in a situation where it's maybe a little more comfortable like that, rather than these big sterile kind of rooms that are like $200 now.
Oh, so, yeah.
You don't really get that immediate feedback too. It's nice when you're done with your music and you want to show it to people, but live is at, it's maybe a cliche, but live is at instant gratification. And so I definitely still like playing live more.
When all this clears up, is there a tour in the cards?
There's, it's like I said, it's hard to say what anything's going to happen, or when, because even if overnight everything was clear, It takes a lot to get the ball rolling for a lot of stuff in the music business.
Yeah.
Even when it's, say it was, they're saying it's clear or everybody's, safe. Understandably, there's gonna be a lot of people are still not gonna want to go out in big crowds yet or go to closed bars yet, and I totally understand that. So there's really no set plan. It's like everyone else, kind of waiting to see what happens, and then slowly roll into some stuff as it happens.
Do you have a favorite Trash Brat song you like to play?
Oh, I guess that always changed through the years. Because obviously a lot of those old ones, like anybody else, and when you always want to do new stuff, so you get tired of it. But I'll be honest, when we do these kind of reunion shows, I guess you call them, once every year or two here in Detroit, I don't mind playing any of the songs. I enjoy them all because just to see people have fun with them and dance around and sing the lyrics and all that. I mean, it's almost like I'm not sick of any of them then. But going home and playing them, well, I don't really sit on the couch and play, Marlboro Street or something. But to play it live,
Oh, I love that song.
oh, thanks.
I love Dirty. Are you the gas boy?
No, the gas boy would be Brian Oblivion. And gas station yeah, no, the gas station he worked at was up the street from the Marlboro Street Band House when we lived there. That's Brian worked at a gas station only about, whatever it was, a mile or two up the street. And he had a midnight shift there. And he does take some poetic license, some of those lyrics. But yeah, Brian was the gas boy.
Do you have a favorite Ricky Rat Pack song right now?
Well, that would probably be the newest ones we just recorded. Just because they're so new and fresh. And I think a lot of people are like that with their songs, where you're a little tired of the old ones and then you're excited for the new ones. So again, I don't really have one. I mean, I'm partial to Crossfire Summer because it was my first solo single, and it's kind of a romantic song in a way too, that just has a good summertime feel. And I felt it got me off on a good foot for doing solo stuff because it was definitely scary to go out on your own. I mean, all I ever wanted to do was be a trash brat. Wanted to stay within the confines of a band. So it's scary to go solo at first, but it's something where you kind of get pushed into because if you want to do songs and you got your songs and you don't really have a new band, there's nothing going on. You just have to take hold of it yourself. And that's what I did. And I felt it got a little bit easier as it went along because I'll tell you what, it was damn scary at first.
If you could collaborate with anybody, who would that be?
Oh, wow. Man.
I love this question.
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, some of my favorites are in music are long gone, but I'm thinking of people that are still around. One of my favorite rock and roll, whatever you want to call them, rock and roll, punk rock and roll songwriters is Andy Chernoff from the Dictators. And I just thought he was such an amazing songwriter, and especially his lyrics and everything, his sense of humor. So he's one I think of off the top of my head. Obviously some of my heroes that are gone, like Mick Ronson is probably my favorite guitar player, who I couldn't even imagine what that would have been like to get to play with someone like that. But yeah, like I said, it's kind of like, yeah, there's probably a few more, but off the top of my head, for some reason, Andy Chernoff popped into my head.
Well, I lost my place. What's the best musical advice you ever been given?
Best advice?
Yeah.
No, that's a good question too. Of course, I'll probably think of something later when the show's done.
Well, yeah.
You definitely get good stuff along the way, especially from people that are older than you, especially in the music business. You always pick up good tips from people, and I can't think of one certain thing right now, and in turn, I try to give good advice to the next generation too when I can. I mean, if I had to give advice, I'd say, just always stick to want to do. That's, what's heartfelt. And, especially nowadays, don't ever try to chase the trends or the business or anything, man. Just write your songs or go play with your band. And first, most have fun with it, because if you're not having fun with it, there's no point in doing it. That's why some people even quit music is, even people that have had major deals or, did big stuff with their bands and stuff, and they were so burnt by the end, they didn't want to play anymore. They just kind of quit completely. And I think that, that's some of the good advice is just to be, number one, have fun with it for sure. And especially with today's technology. I mean, you can, make your little songs and put them up on the YouTube or Facebook or, just playing for friends if you want. I mean, I think, people just playing thing instead of looking at it like, oh, I got to be famous or I got to do this or that with it. Just, have fun with it.
This said, Jason Smith says, do a dummy check before you leave the bar. Leaving your gear behind in Phoenix. Something.
Yeah, well, that is good advice for musicians. Absolutely. That goes without saying. Do 3 dummy checks because you'll never know. I mean, sometimes you could lose major things. So here we go. The Trash Brats almost left a guitar behind at this club in Cincinnati called Sudsy Malone's, which was a laundromat bar. Mm-hmm. So there's probably some people out there who remember the place. It was legendary. Yeah, it's a great place. So we used to do great in Cincinnati, and the crowds used to get pretty wild. So I remember we had this one night where it was out of control. Like people were, like they do their shot, and they throw the glass and the beer glass into like the washers and turn them on, like just bad stuff. And I think someone handed Brian a phone book, and he ripped all the pages out of it. So that was in the air like confetti, walking in the bar. So anyways, we ended up making a big mess of the bar. So they weren't super happy with us. Then we realized the next day we're waking up at a friend's, we're getting ready to leave town. We realized we left one of our guitars there. So we're like, shit, we got to go back there. And we didn't even want to face the club yet because of the mess, I mean, in the end, everything was cool. We were, back there playing, next tour or whatever. But there you go. We actually left a guitar, not a, guitar cable or a tuner. But we almost left town without a guitar. So, yeah, you always want to be checking for your stuff.
When is Karen? Sorry, I can't say the middle name for fear of mispronouncing it. And good Lord, I can't do that. Russell, Facebook viewer Karen Russell says, when is Ricky going to get back to doing Facebook Live songs again?
Well, maybe really soon here. I got off the path a bit. Just like I said, me and the Rat Pack rehearsing these new stuff that we just recorded. Working on, spending a lot of time with that, but I do have a few in my back pocket here that I'm ready to turn the camera on and throw them on the Facebook. I'm glad that people seem like they're enjoying that. Just trying again to entertain myself and entertain everybody else till we can get back to the real live stuff. So yeah, I think I'll have some more coming soon.
I don't know if this is a sarcastic question or not. Cheyenne Brandt. Why did you steal Scott's cryptic slaughter hat? Okay, good. It was. I try to be careful because I've had a couple of guests get jabs, so I'm careful with the Q&A.
Well, now and then you got to work on a new image, So I figure I might as well start stealing some stuff here and to work on my image. But to say hi to Cheyenne and Scott. Actually, that's Cheyenne who's engineering and recording and doing all the work on our new. So, but somehow we stole that hat in the course of the weekend. So I don't know. I think it just jumped into one of our bags somehow.
It just jumped in there. Before we wrap this up, do you have a bad joke? I ask every guest to tell a terrible joke. Their favorite bad joke.
Oh man, I wish I knew this coming. Thought of one. Of course, now I have to watch what you say because
No, you can say anything on this show.
I know. We're from the old days, and so you never know how you don't want to bum people out. But you know, off the top of my head, I can't think of a real good joke right now. Maybe someone will. Maybe someone, one of the people out there listening, can send one over because I can't think of one.
It's all right. But man, thank you very much. This has been awesome. It was so great. And I hope you liked it. And I thank everybody for watching. Go ahead.
Thank you for having me. And I guess I'll do the plug here at the end. At Trash Brats, our first album is finally on vinyl after all these years. And there's still a few copies of it left. So you can order it direct from i94recordings.com. And like I said, yeah, Ricky Rat Pack, we're recording this new album down there in the south side of Chicago, the best side of Chicago. So you know it's going to come out good there. And I got a new single, which we also recorded down there, also coming out on I-94 Records, and that will be out probably by summer. The test pressings are actually, I guess, on their way. So that single will be out by summer, and then hopefully later in the year will be the whole new album.
That's awesome, man. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Ricky, for being my guest. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead. I'm sorry. That's that time delay.
It's the same. Thanks for having me.
If you haven't subscribed to Undergroundopolis yet, please do on YouTube and Facebook. And I will post links up. If you don't have, I know most of you probably know how to get to Spotify and iTunes. So I'll have all those links up on this, and this will also air on Spotify probably in about a week. And if you'll just share this video and maybe just tell a couple of people about it. And would you make me a soundbite?
Yeah, absolutely. Right now.
Yeah, right now. Just say. This is Ricky Rat. You're tuned in to Undergroundopolis.
This is Ricky Rat, and you're tuned in to Undergroundopolis.
That's perfect. Thanks again. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Thanks.
We are signing off.